In a chaotic display of diplomatic tension, Secretary of State Marco Rubio found himself at the center of a heated confrontation between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during a scheduled meeting in the Oval Office. Intended to facilitate a significant mineral deal, the meeting devolved into a public argument that has captured widespread attention and sparked a flurry of reactions on social media. The clash erupted as Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance accused Zelensky of being disrespectful and not adequately thanking the United States for its support during the ongoing conflict with Russia. Rubio, who was present during the exchange, became an unexpected focal point as his body language reflected discomfort and embarrassment. Images of Rubio's expression quickly went viral, with users across platforms humorously suggesting he might have regretted taking on the role of Secretary of State. Social media reactions ranged from lighthearted jabs to serious critiques of Rubio's position. One user quipped, "If Marco Rubio wants to save what's left of his soul and his honor, he'd resign immediately," while another observed his awkward demeanor, stating, "Marco Rubio is that kid in school who knows it's wrong for the bully to pick on the weaker kid but doesn't say a word to stop it." The consensus among many commentators was that Rubio's presence during the altercation highlighted the precariousness of his current position within the administration. Following the tumultuous meeting, Rubio made the controversial decision to cancel U.S. support for the restoration of Ukraine's energy grid, which had been damaged due to Russian aggression. Sources indicated that this decision was a direct response to the perceived disrespect shown during the Oval Office confrontation. Despite this, Rubio took to social media to express gratitude towards Trump for his assertive stance, tweeting, "Thank you for putting America first. America is with you." This tweet, however, did little to quell the mockery surrounding his earlier demeanor. The fallout from the meeting has been significant, with Zelensky's planned visit to the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. being abruptly cancelled. In a world increasingly focused on the implications of this diplomatic debacle, European leaders voiced support for Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk reassured Zelensky, stating, "You are not alone," while Spanish President Pedro Sanchez and French President Emmanuel Macron echoed sentiments of solidarity with Ukraine. As the situation continues to develop, the clash in the Oval Office has not only highlighted the fragile state of U.S.-Ukraine relations but also raised questions about the broader implications for U.S. foreign policy. Observers are left pondering the future of support for Ukraine amidst internal U.S. political tensions and whether Rubio's position as Secretary of State can withstand the scrutiny of both allies and critics alike. The coming days will likely reveal how this incident will influence diplomatic strategies and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine as leaders navigate the complexities of international relations in an increasingly polarized environment. In a significant shift in U.S. military policy, President Donald Trump has moved to loosen the constraints on military operations, particularly airstrikes and special operations, allowing commanders greater discretion in targeting. This change, which U.S. officials have confirmed, reflects a departure from the more cautious approach adopted during the Biden administration and aims to reinstate the aggressive counterterrorism strategies that characterized Trump's first term. The new directive was signed earlier this month by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth during a meeting with military leadership in Germany, specifically under the purview of U.S. Africa Command. By easing the previous multi-layered approval processes that required extensive vetting and oversight, the directive empowers military commanders to make more immediate decisions about whom to target, potentially streamlining operations against groups such as al-Shabaab in Somalia and the Houthis in Yemen. According to a senior Defense Department official, this recalibration of military policy is a stark contrast to the Biden administration's focus, which typically prioritized airstrikes against senior terrorist leaders. While the new strategy has the potential to degrade terrorist organizations more swiftly due to its reduced bureaucratic barriers, it also raises concerns about the increased risk of civilian casualties and flawed targeting decisions, a point underscored by the official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. The decision to change the targeting protocols comes at a time of significant upheaval within the Pentagon following the recent firings of top military officials, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Hegseth has defended these removals as necessary to eliminate potential roadblocks in executing orders from the Commander-in-Chief, emphasizing the need for legal advisors who can support military operations without undue delay. Meanwhile, efforts by the Trump administration to reshape the Department of Defense extend beyond military operations. In an unusual directive, Hegseth has ordered a purge of all content related to diversity, equity, and inclusion from the Pentagon's digital presence. This includes the removal of articles, photos, and videos that promote DEI initiatives, which Hegseth argues have served to divide rather than unite the military. His stance reflects a broader ideological shift within the department, aiming for an environment that he describes as colorblind and based solely on merit. The implications of these policies are profound, particularly as they coincide with the ongoing campaign to remove transgender service members from the military. Hegseth's recent comments suggest a commitment to fundamentally altering the military's approach to diversity and inclusion, which he claims have been detrimental to unit cohesion and effectiveness. As these changes unfold, they will undoubtedly provoke intense debate about the balance between aggressive military action and the ethical considerations of warfare, as well as the role of diversity in fostering an effective military force. The coming months will be critical in determining how these policies are implemented and their long-term impact on both military operations and the personnel who serve in the armed forces. In a controversial move that has ignited heated debate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has proposed eliminating public comment on decisions made by the Department of Health and Human Services (HHS), an agency he now leads following a contentious confirmation process. Kennedy, who has long been a vocal skeptic of vaccines, was confirmed as HHS Secretary in February 2025 amid a divided Senate that voted narrowly in favor of his appointment. The decision to limit public discourse on HHS policies, particularly in the wake of recent health crises such as measles outbreaks, has raised alarm among public health advocates and political opponents. Critics argue that reducing public input could undermine transparency and accountability in a department responsible for overseeing a budget of approximately $1.7 trillion, which includes critical health initiatives and programs. Kennedy's confirmation was not without significant pushback. The Senate vote 52-48 saw every Democrat and several Republicans, including Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, oppose his nomination. McConnell's concerns centered on Kennedy's historical skepticism toward vaccines, which he characterized as dangerous misinformation that could erode public trust in health institutions. Individuals, parents, and families have a right to push for a healthier nation and demand the best possible scientific guidance on preventing and treating illness, McConnell stated. But a record of trafficking and dangerous conspiracy theories does not entitle Mr. Kennedy to lead these important efforts. Despite these concerns, Kennedy received the support of a few Republican senators who were swayed by his commitments to promote transparency and evidence-based policies. Senator Lisa Murkowski expressed her initial misgivings but ultimately decided to back him after securing promises that he would not hinder vaccination efforts. Vaccines have saved millions of lives, and I sought assurance that he would do nothing to make it difficult for people to take vaccines or discourage vaccination efforts, she noted. Kennedy's vision for HHS includes a focus on radical transparency and a return to gold standard science, aiming to eliminate what he describes as corruption and corporate capture within health agencies like the FDA and CDC. He has called for an overhaul of how health data is collected and disseminated, emphasizing the need for independent research free from conflicts of interest. Ending the corruption, ending the corporate capture of those agencies. Getting rid of the people on those panels that have conflicts of interest, Kennedy argued, we can do unadorned and unimpeded science. As he steps into his role, Kennedy is inheriting a health landscape marked by rising chronic disease rates and an ongoing struggle with public health messaging. His advocacy for the Make America Healthy Again movement has resonated with some constituents, particularly parents concerned about childhood diseases. Yet his past statements, including claims about vaccines and their safety, continue to cast a shadow over his leadership. Looking ahead, the implications of Kennedy's proposed changes to public comment at HHS could be profound.
as health policy increasingly intersects with political interests and public opinion. The potential for conflict is palpable.
The first major test of his approach may come as the agency navigates ongoing health challenges and strives to rebuild trust within the communities it serves. With public health at a crossroads, Kennedy's tenure will be closely scrutinized as stakeholders from across the political spectrum await to see how his leadership will shape the future of health policy in the United States. The recent release of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein by the U.S. Justice Department has sparked a wave of disappointment among those hoping for new revelations about the disgraced financier's notorious past. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the release on February 27, 2025, but the files, which primarily consist of materials that have long been in the public domain,
did not unveil any significant new information regarding Epstein's sex trafficking operations.
The initial batch of documents included flight logs from Epstein's private jet and a heavily redacted address book allegedly compiled by Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. It also featured a blacked-out list of masseuses and an inventory of over 150 items that supposedly belonged to Epstein, such as massage tables and sex toys. However, these items were already known through various court cases and media reports, leading to widespread dissatisfaction among political commentators and conspiracy theorists alike. Bondi had previously hyped the release on Fox News, stating, "Breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information released." Unfortunately, the documents were met with criticism from even some conservative commentators who expressed frustration over the lack of new details.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida voiced her dismay on social media, declaring the rollout a complete disappointment and demanding more transparency. In the aftermath of the release, Bondi directed FBI Director Kash Patel to investigate the withholding of thousands of pages of Epstein-related documents and ordered that all records be turned over by the following morning. Patel assured the public in a post on X, formerly Twitter, that there would be no cover-ups and vowed to ensure that all documents would be made available to the Justice Department for public dissemination. The Epstein case has always been a subject of intense scrutiny, not just because of the heinous nature of the allegations against him, but also due to his connections with powerful figures including former presidents and royals. Epstein managed to navigate the legal system in a way that many found unjust, serving only a brief jail sentence in 2008 after a controversial plea deal. His subsequent arrest in 2019 on federal charges sparked renewed interest in his network and the many individuals tied to his activities. The initial release of documents follows years of litigation and investigations that have already revealed substantial information regarding Epstein's operations, including testimonies from numerous victims. Most notably, a 2024 court ruling unsealed a trove of documents collected in Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit against Epstein, which included interviews and police reports. However, much of this material contained information already known to the public, which has only fueled speculation about broader conspiracies and alleged government cover-ups. As the anticipated second wave of documents looms, many are left wondering whether this latest effort by the Trump administration to provide transparency will yield any actual new insights into Epstein's crimes and the extent of his connections. The case continues to serve as a cautionary tale about the intersection of wealth, power, and the legal system, and it remains a focal point for discussions about accountability among the elite. The political and public demand for transparency surrounding Epstein's activities shows no signs of dissipating, and with Bondi's insistence on a full accounting of the withheld documents, all eyes will be on the FBI and the Justice Department in the days to come. As the investigation unfolds, it is likely that the narrative surrounding Epstein will continue to evolve, raising questions about the implications of the case for those implicated and the broader societal issues it highlights. In a politically charged week, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has ignited controversy with his recent comments regarding Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to the White House, describing it as unacceptable. This statement follows a tumultuous meeting between President Donald Trump and Zelensky, which aimed to finalize a critical minerals agreement but ultimately collapsed amid tensions between the two leaders. Bessent's remarks came during an interview with Bloomberg Television where he criticized Zelensky's demeanor during the Oval Office encounter.
"It's very difficult to do an economic deal with a leader who doesn't want to do a peace deal," he stated, underscoring the challenges of negotiating with a partner perceived to be ungrateful for U.S. support.
The visit reportedly focused on economic cooperation, yet Zelensky pressed for more robust security guarantees, voicing concerns over ongoing Russian aggression.
"Putin will never stop and will go further and further," he cautioned,
highlighting the urgency of the situation in Ukraine. The fallout from this meeting has significant implications not only for U.S.-Ukraine relations but also for the broader geopolitical landscape.
Bessent characterized Zelensky's approach as one of the great diplomatic own goals in history, suggesting that the Ukrainian president's failure to express gratitude could weaken future negotiations. "I was shocked that President Zelensky would come into the Oval Office and behave like this," he added, indicating a greater expectation for diplomatic decorum. This incident occurs against the backdrop of Bessent's ongoing nomination process as Treasury Secretary, which has seen its share of hurdles. Despite facing criticism from Democrats regarding his business practices in alignment with Trump's economic policies, Bessent recently cleared a key Senate committee vote. His business background, notably as a former partner at Soros Fund Management, has drawn scrutiny. Particularly concerned, the implications of his comments on Zelensky and ongoing trade negotiations will likely reverberate through international relations and domestic economic policies. The coming weeks will be crucial as the Senate prepares for Bessent's full confirmation vote and as the U.S. grapples with the challenges posed by global trade dynamics and geopolitical tensions. Looking ahead, the intersection of fiscal policy and international diplomacy will remain a pivotal focus for Bessent and the administration, with potential repercussions for U.S. standing on the world stage. As the landscape of American immigration and trade policy undergoes significant transformation under the Trump administration, anxiety among workers is palpable. Recent surveys indicate that many employees are concerned about the potential ramifications of the president's tariffs and immigration strategies, raising questions about job security across various sectors.
A report released on February 25, 2025,
by Resume Templates highlights that nearly half of the workers surveyed, approximately 59%, believe that the tariffs and trade policies instigated by Trump could lead to layoffs at their respective companies. Additional factors contributing to these worries include cuts to government contracts cited by 55% of respondents and changes in immigration policy identified by 39%. Notably, workers in accounting expressed the highest levels of concern, followed by those in education and information technology. The anxiety stems from the immediate actions taken by the Trump administration upon assuming office on January 20, including the issuance of executive orders that have stirred uncertainty in both private and public sectors. Julia Toothaker, chief career strategist at Resume Templates, emphasized the importance of transparency during these tumultuous times.
If your company isn't planning mass layoffs, communicate that. Transparency and honesty are the best strategies for leaders right now.
People need to know their jobs are safe,
she stated.
With immigration compliance becoming increasingly critical, businesses are grappling with the implications of new federal policies. As net immigration declines and federal officials signal a crackdown on worksite compliance, employers are inundated with inquiries regarding I-9s and E-Verify processes. Legal experts have noted a marked uptick in questions related to immigration enforcement, reflecting heightened anxiety among employers.
Moreover, the administration's focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives has also come under scrutiny.
The Resume Templates survey revealed that 22% of workers reported a reduction or elimination of DEI programs at their workplaces. Experts like Emily Dickens, chief of staff at SHRM, suggest that employers should seize this moment to reinforce their DEI initiatives rather than retreating from them, viewing it as an opportunity to elevate these programs in the face of change.
On another front,
President Trump has introduced a controversial gold card visa program that has already attracted 250,000 applicants. This initiative, which requires a $5 million investment in the U.S., aims to replace the EB-5 visa, which has faced criticism for its potential security risks and avenues for fraud.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick noted the program's potential appeal particularly for wealthy foreign investors, including Russian oligarchs. This new visa scheme echoes existing golden visa programs in Europe, which have long allowed affluent individuals to gain residency through investment. These programs have gained popularity as a way to hedge against global uncertainties, though they have also faced backlash due to concerns about their impact on local housing markets and allegations of misuse. As European countries like Ireland and Spain begin to pull back on their golden visa offerings, the U.S. approach under Trump could attract even more interest from wealthy individuals seeking residency. The surge in applications following Trump's election victory, reportedly a 400% increase, suggests a burgeoning market for such visas in the U.S., with implications for both immigration policy and economic strategy. In conclusion, the intertwining of tariffs, immigration policy, and employment concerns under the current administration paints a complex picture for American workers and businesses alike. The ongoing adjustments in policy are likely to shape the economic landscape in the coming months, with potential ramifications for job security and the future of immigration in the United States. As the administration continues to navigate these challenges, the need for clear communication and strategic planning from employers will be more critical than ever.